Welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. Today we stop gathering wood by hand, we're automating creosote and charcoal, and building a multi-step processing line, the first of many that will make everything so much smoother as we progress. Let's get into it! I would really like to find some lithium for batteries, so I took some of that lepidolite we got as a reward, and I put it in an ore finder wand, and now I'm going to go and wander the earth for a bit. Yeah, it looks like we might have found one almost right away. That's a bit of luck. So I've made a second fluid generator here, semi-fluid generator, and I've got my battery box here. Oops. There we go. Now what I want to do is put generator here and move this generator. Oh, this is going to waste a bit of creosote, that's alright. Oh, of course I don't have anything to stand on. Get it done in the most chaotic way possible. That seems very on brand. And I also brought the wrong pipe. Sometimes line mode works. Alright, so now we have creosote going into 2 semi-fluid generators, feeding 1 battery buffer. Oops, that's not the way. And I moved the battery buffer into the middle because I realised having the energy having to go all the way along this pipe was actually quite wasteful. Because you have loss going along this cable. So if we have it in the middle, that minimises the amount of loss. Okay. Now we should be able to run more than 1 or 2 machines at once. Looks like I forgot to get some wood again, which means this has all gone a bit quiet. Right, it's getting a little bit old, keep harvesting my bonsais by hand, so I think what I want to do next is make a farming station that'll harvest them automatically and fill up that drawer. Here's the farming station recipe. It's a little bit expensive, but I have found some Certus quartz in the nether, so that's okay. This is a bit of an interesting beastie. I've got some spare tanks over there, I can just nab one of them. That's just wrought iron, I think. Yeah, a little bit of wrought iron and some wood, that's fine. Also some lead cables, but I've got lead now, that's alright. And a rubber gear, well that'll be fun. We can use the fluid solidifier for that. Let's do that right now. I have some rubber here. I don't know if this is new, but these tanks seem to now work like the cells do. So if I do this, and pull it out again, because I don't want more than one. There we go. That was good. Oh, let's pop the rubber back. There we go. And now I'll just yank this.
All this time, I've been holding on so tight, 'cause all that I do was easy to use. So call my time, but you weren't really mine, just something to do. Thought I never knew. No surprise, but nevertheless, I'm still stuck.
Just like that.
Self-defense. No surprise, but nevertheless,
Now, of course, we do have to power the thing, but if I remember from previous playthroughs, they don't take a lot. I can probably do it off of a steam turbine with just a couple of solar generators, I think. Should do it just fine, and that would be just purely passive.
all this time, I've been holding on so tight, 'cause all that I do was easy to use.
I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put this. I'm thinking maybe somewhere around here.
Just something to do.
Yeah. Back in a bit. And here we go. Not very fancy, but I have a water tower, oops, with some solar boilers. Don't know if I need all three, to be honest. I figure if they calcify, it's going to be fine. This doesn't take very much power at all. I switched these over to barrels because they need void upgrades on them to stop everything jamming up, and void upgrades for drawers need an MV machine. So this server has now been running probably a couple of hours at this point, and it's good to see everything is running tickety-boo. Oh, and as you might notice from the colour of the grass, I did the silverwood thing again and changed biome to magical forest, just to make sure that there's plenty of water to service those solar boilers. Welcome back, everyone. I've been pottering around down here trying to make this look slightly less arse, with mixed results. It's better. It's not perfect. So, and I've been trying to have a think about what it is I want to do next. There are a bunch of things I want to do, and I have to pick one, because I can't do them all at once. So I was thinking, let's bring the quest book up here. In the medium term, I want to get an arc furnace going. That will make steel cheaper, although we've got shitloads of steel at the moment, so that's not such a thing. But annealed copper makes circuits and circuit components an awful lot cheaper, so that's worthwhile. This does require a somewhat steady supply of oxygen. It doesn't need a lot of oxygen, but it does need to be steady if we're going to be relying on it for bulk production. In the longer term, I really want to get into oil and petrochemicals, and I want to switch over our LV power to oil. So hinging on all of that is a steady supply of oxygen. And there are a few ways to get it in LV. We can centrifuge compressed air, we can electrolyse water. I don't really like either of those. So what I'm actually going to do is set up our first multi-step processing line. Editing-esque here. Past-esque has no idea she's talking complete bollocks at this point. Later on in the video I'll go over the proper process. So what this is it's going to be a cobble gen. Well, basically a cobble works. We'll get some cobble, we'll hammer it down to gravel, we'll hammer that down to sand. We will centrifuge the sand, that will give us silicon dioxide. We can then react that to silicon and oxygen, and we will use I think it's magnesium as a catalyst for that, and then we can use an electrolyser to get our magnesium back. To do that, we're going to need a lot of LV components to move things between machines, which means we need a shit ton of motors for the conveyors and the pumps. So here I've sort of spec'd out what we're going to need for 2 stacks of motors, and that's what I'm going to be getting on with first. First off, I'm going to make a few files. Because we're going to need a lot of iron rods, and although I can make them in the lathe, that is going to be incredibly slow. We are not short of steel, and we are not short of iron, so I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. These max-statted stick reeds grow ridiculously quickly. It's hilarious. Like, I don't have any fertilizer, any water, they're just growing. You can watch them. I might put a couple on the crop manager, just so we've got a steady income of sticky resin. Not that it takes very long to grab a bunch by hand, as you can see. Okay, that's 2 stacks of motors. That will help a lot. I've also got a lot of rubber sheets, which will make conveyors a bit easier. just realised I'm going to need a general purpose electrolyser as well as the one for this process, so I may as well make two. I'm missing one tin cable. Time to visit the vending machine again. Alright, so that was the last thing on my list. We should be able to start putting that processing line together now. Obviously I'm going to need cable and pipes and things, but should be able to start getting that together fairly quickly. All in all, I was expecting that to take longer than it did. Even crafting up the motors only took a few minutes. So yeah, batch crafting, definitely the way to go. Alright, so this is the gist of it. There are a few problems that I need to work around, but I'll talk you through what we've got so far. So we've got cobble in the bottom here, goes to a forge hammer, becomes gravel, gets buffered in there, goes into another forge hammer, turns into sand, gets buffered here, and here it gets turned into silicon dioxide and immediately passed to this chemical reactor, and that chemical reactor reacts it with magnesium eventually and turns it into silicon and magnesia dust, and then we electrolyse the magnesia dust to get oxygen and pass the magnesium back up. Now there's just a few problems with this. One, I needed two electrolysers after all, which is fine. This centrifuge, I will find a use for it. Two, we need a filter to stop the silicon dust coming down. And unfortunately, if I look at an item filter here, it needs polyethylene. This one doesn't, it needs raw carbon mesh, but raw carbon mesh needs polyethylene. So what do? Well, quest book to the rescue. If I do this quest for a boat, it'll give me raw carbon mesh. As a quest reward, it'll give me 4, which is just enough for one item filter, which should be able to solve this. Other couple of hitches is I forgot to actually include the cobble gen in my plans, so we'll need to get a rock breaker online. But otherwise, I have lots and lots of cobblestone, so that's not a problem right now. Also, the 2 semi-fluid generators I put in are not quite enough. We're going to need one more. But otherwise, we're getting there. Oh man, getting this boat is going to be a bit more of a rabbit hole than I thought. I'm going to need an extruder. Phew, well that took a bit, but I finally got my carbon mesh. "80 seconds, are you having a laugh?" Okay, so in theory, it should be working now. This bottom export is filtered to only let the magnesia through. So I don't know how that silicon got there, for Pete's sake. Hang on. Okay, I think the problem was that the chemical reactor was auto-outputting down, which bypassed the filter. Now it's auto-outputting to the barrel. The magnesia is coming via the means of the conveyor, which is filtered. And that seems to be working. Great. The third generator in. I'm not going to bother with the rock breaker for the time being. So we've got plenty of raw materials to be going at for this. And we're not going to need all that much oxygen to start with. Alright, well I think that's a great place to leave the episode for today. We've got a couple of very important bits of infrastructure done. We've got basically infinite creosote and wood and charcoal. And we've got a steady supply of oxygen set up and our first complex, or multi-stage if you will, processing line up and running. So that's really great. Next time I'm going to go after some oil. We'll be using that for power in the first instance, and as you saw, getting some polyethylene up and running early on is actually very helpful, so I'll be setting that up too.